Taoiseach, Christmas can be a very lonely and difficult time of the year for poor and low-income families, for the elderly, for carers and for long-term social welfare recipients. The Christmas bonus made Christmas for many of these families and gave them a little bit of comfort. Now, Taoiseach, the Central Statistics Office, the official state statistics agency, has found that almost a quarter of the people of this country don't have the money to afford at least two goods and services, which are generally considered the norm for society. This quarter of the population are categorised by the Central Statistics Office as deprived, and indeed that figure has doubled in the last 5 years. The accepted definition of deprivation means that a person can't afford such basics as heating their homes, buying meat, having a warm coat, and indeed at Christmas time of buying a gift for a grandchild. We know, Taoiseach, that the money is there to pay for a Christmas bonus. Minister Joe Costello told us in this House not too long ago that this country is the 7th wealthiest country in the world. We know again from the Central Statistics Office that gross financial assets of the wealthy in this country are back up to boom levels at €310 billion. And Minister Noonan has told us that the top 20,000 earners in this country earn in excess of €430,000 per annum each year. Now, Taoiseach, a minimal asset or wealth tax, or indeed a small increased rate of income tax on these very wealthy individuals would cover the cost of the Christmas bonus numerous times over. Very many civil society organisations such as Age Action, Focus Ireland, Open, the Irish National Organisation of the Unemployed, Barnardo's, the National Women's Council, ICTU President John Douglas, and indeed many more have called for the restoration of the double social welfare payment at Christmas. And I want to ask you, Taoiseach, in the context of the acknowledged levels of deprivation in this country and in the context of the wealth in this country, will your government show compassion this Christmas and restore the Christmas bonus?
Thank you. Taoiseach. Well, the abolition of the Christmas bonus was announced back in 2009. To restore it now would cost $261 million. The rationale given for the abolition of the Christmas bonus back in 2009 was that it was preferable to cutting social welfare rates across the board. And despite that, in 2010 and 2011, the government of the day reduced primary personal welfare rates for all persons under 66 were reduced by over €16 per week by the government in question. Now, in Budget 2014, the government was able to protect the state pension, the carers allowance, the disability allowance, and other core weekly payments, and in addition to child benefit, while still reducing the overall welfare spend as part of the necessary effort to reduce the deficit. It would be grand to think that you could do these things, Deputy Healy. It's not possible. And I appreciate the difficulties that so many people have had and have following the economic recession of the last number of years. But I do think it's important also to say that from a position where we did lose as a country 250,000 jobs in 3 years, there are now 1,200 net being created every week. And over 18 months consecutively, we've had a fall in the live register. And that's heartening to see the trends of confidence, where interest rates have now fallen below 4%, where even the construction index is rising. So we still have, serious challenges up ahead. And it's not easy make decisions to reduce your public debt. But we have one of the highest deficits in Europe. So we've got targets and objectives to achieve here. And the people have made great sacrifices. But I think they see the process leading, in the first instance, to an exit from the bailout, to be able to follow that momentum through to creation more jobs, achieve our target of having a deficit below 3% by 2015. And by growing the economy, Deputy Healy, you provide more opportunity for people to get gainful employment and, as a consequence, benefit from the rise in the economy. The government have committed to no reduction in core welfare rates and no increase in income tax, because that's a tax on work. So these are always difficult balances. So I'm sorry to have to say to you that it's not possible to pay the Christmas bonus and have it restored in the way that it was. It's 261 million. We don't have that money, and unfortunately, we can't go to the kind of situation that we had in the past, where there was an assumption that everything was available for nothing. Somebody's got to pay at the end of the day, and you have to have a balance here. And as I said, the budget did maintain the state pensions, the carers allowance, the disability allowances, other core weekly payments in addition to child benefits, despite all the cynics and despite all those who said, you're going to cut this, you're going to cut that, you're going to destroy all the welfare payments. That didn't happen. But in considering all of these things, Deputy Healy, it hasn't been possible, and it's not possible, to restore the Christmas bonus at a cost of 261 million this year.
Deputy Healy.
That, Taoiseach, is a mean and shameful reply. And indeed it is. But those are not my words. Those are the words of Deputy Eamon Gilmore, leader of the Labour Party, when he addressed the leader's question to a former Taoiseach who had abolished that bonus. And I quote further, he says, "This payment has been made to pensioners every year for 30 years, even in some of the country's most difficult economic years. For the first time in 30 years, pensioners will not get the small bonus which has been paid to them in years past." He went on to say, and I'm quoting again, the Taoiseach's reply contrasts sharply, he says, with his more sympathetic approach to the Golden 10 yesterday. And furthermore, he goes on to say, they get all the comfort, these Golden 10 get all the comfort from the government.
Deputy, would you put a supplementary question, please?
Through thirds, lads.
Sorry, would you please?
These Golden 10 get all the comfort from the government, but pensioners who worked hard to make the country what it was are told they will not receive the small payment which made Christmas worthwhile for many of them. That is mean and shameful. Now, Taoiseach, I want to ask Deputy Eamon Gilmore,
no, you're not
and
asking
indeed the
Deputy
Labour
Eamon
Party.
Gilmore at the moment. You're asking the Taoiseach, please. It's a supplementary question. Thank you.
And referring to how wealthy people were comforted by the previous government. We know, for instance, that during the course of this government, since Deputy Gilmore and yourself came to power,
sorry, would you
we
put
know
your
from
supplementary
the Sunday
question? You're over
Independent
time. Thank you. 300
rich list that they have increased their wealth by €9 billion since 2011. That's 9,000
Deputy, would you please put your supplementary question? Thank you.
billion euros. And as I've said, a very small tax, wealth, assets, or income tax on these very...
Deputy, you're not listening to me. Would you put your supplementary question, please?
I have a question.
Yeah, well, you're way over time.
Well, the first question, with all respect, though, Count Porter,
with
the
all
first
respect,
question took 15 minutes.
With all respect,
First
would you
question
put your
took 15
supplementary
minutes.
question?
As I've said, a very small tax on these very wealthy individuals would cover this Christmas bonus numerous times over. And I want to ask the Taoiseach, in the context of the obscene wealth of those 300 richest people in this country, will you not reconsider your decision not to pay the Christmas bonus and at least give some little comfort to people who are deprived this Christmas?
Taoiseach, I'd ask you if you would stick to the minute, please, because I'm getting totally frustrated here. We're now about 12 or 13 minutes over the allocated time. You either want me to chair this or you don't want me to chair it, but don't give me time limits that nobody's prepared to stick to. I don't like interrupting people consistently, but you have to change these time limits unless you're not prepared to stick to them, because it's just not on. And I'm not referring to you. Thank you, Taoiseach.
It's not possible to restore the Christmas bonus, as Deputy Healy suggests. The cost here is 261 million. The entire social welfare system is being reformed into one, instead of being just passive payments, into one that demonstrates that work will pay and that activation measures are put in place for that. As I said to you, when this was abolished in 2009, it was followed in 2010 by reductions in all of those areas of social welfare. This government is committed to no reduction in core rates, and again in Budget 2014 it was possible to protect those. It would be a lovely thing from a political point of view, Deputy Healy, to stand up and say, yes, of course we can pay this. The money's not there, and the system has been introduced here that those who earn most pay most. From government, for its point of view, did restore the minimum wage, did take 330,000 out of the universal social charge requirement and liability, and has maintained poor rates in all of the areas that I mentioned, including carers, the estate pension, disability and child benefit, which are very beneficial for families where children are involved throughout the country.